Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're all doing very well this morning. Well, today we're continuing the exciting story of the city and the walls of Jericho. Now, last time we ended with the commander of the Lord's army giving instructions to Joshua and the Israelites and the priests and the fighting men about what they should be doing around the city of Jericho. And we're going to see what is going to happen when they do that. Let's remember, it is the commander of the Lord's army who is actually the Lord who is asking them to do this. And therefore, what happens depends not on them actually, but on God. So we're going to look at the Bible, God's word, God speaking to us as always. And we're going to first read out of Joshua 6, verses 6 to 11. Joshua 6, verses 6 to 11. And we're reading out of the New International Reader's Version, which can be found on the YouVersion app. Let's listen very carefully. So Joshua, the son of Nun, called for the priests. He said to them, "Go and get the ark of the covenant of the Lord. I want 7 of you to carry trumpets in front of it." He gave an order to the army. He said, "Move out, march around the city. Some of the fighting men must march in front of the ark of the Lord." When Joshua had spoken to the men, the 7 priests went forward. They were carrying the 7 trumpets as they marched in front of the ark of the Lord. They were blowing the trumpets. The ark of the Lord's covenant was carried behind the priests. Some of the fighting men marched ahead of the priests who were blowing the trumpets. The others followed behind the ark and guarded all the priests. That whole time the priests were blowing the trumpets. But Joshua had given an order to the army. He had said, "Don't give a war cry. Don't raise your voices. Don't say a word until the day I tell you to shout." So he had the ark of the Lord carried around the city once. Then the army returned to camp. They spent the night there. Then we're going to read from Joshua 6, verses 12 to 20. Joshua 6, 12 to 20. Joshua got up early the next morning. The priests went and got the ark of the Lord. This is the ark of the covenant. The 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets started out. They marched in front of the ark of the Lord. They blew the trumpets. Some of the fighting men marched ahead of them. The others followed behind the ark and guarded all of them. The priests kept blowing the trumpets. On the 2nd day, they marched around the city once. Then the army returned to camp. They did all those things for 6 days. On the 7th day, they got up at sunrise. They marched around the city, just as they had done before. But on that day, they went around it 7 times. On the 7th time round, the priests blew a long blast on the trumpets. Then Joshua gave a command to the army. He said, "Shout! The Lord has given you the city. The city and everything in it must be set apart to the Lord to be destroyed. But keep away from the things that have been set apart to the Lord. If you take any of them, you will be destroyed, and you will bring trouble on the camp of Israel. You will cause it to be destroyed. All the silver and gold is holy. It is set apart to the Lord. So are all the things made out of bronze and iron. All those things must be added to the treasures kept in the Lord's house." The priests blew the trumpets, As soon as the army heard the sound, they gave a loud shout. Then the wall fell down. Everyone charged straight in, so they took the city. Wow, this is amazing. But what we must remember is it's not the Israelites that made the wall of the city fall down. Who is it? It is God. God gave them the instructions on what they should do and how they should do it. They had to do it God's way. And when they did it God's way, He gave them the city. The walls fell down, and it was God who did it. And they were able to go in and take the city. How amazing is this? Okay, well, let's look at a few questions. First question, who were ordered to march in front of the Ark of the Covenant? Remember the Ark of the Covenant? It is a symbol for God being with them. Again, God with them. Second question, what did the priests have to do? There were 7 priests and they were holding something and they were playing on it. Third question, what happened when the Israelites shouted on the 7th day? And then last question, very important, who made the wall of Jericho fall down? The Israelites or God? And then there's a lovely picture of a city wall for you to color in. And that's it for today, boys and girls. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.